I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Don Pitcairn. He's a concerned citizen who wants to know more about smart meters, feels he's kind of a victim. He's also a columnist for the White Rock Sun. Welcome to the show, Don.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great. What about your concerns about the smart meter? What's happening?
Oh, we've had an ongoing running feud with BC Hydro ever since they decided to pull all the analog meters out of everyone's houses in BC and spend $1 billion to put the so-called smart meters in, the digital meters. We decided we didn't really want to be part of that right from the very beginning for a host of different reasons, and informed them right from the start that we wanted to keep our analog meters and explained why. And of course, since that time, this has been an ongoing battle, back and forth, registered letters, threatening bills, all sorts of fun things with BC Hydro.
What are your concerns about the smart meter?
Well, when they first did this, one of my big concerns was the fact that we have a government-controlled monopoly that's spending $1 billion to do this program, and that is taxpayer money. In the end of the day, BC Hydro is financed by the people in BC. So that was part of it. There was concerns to do with privacy. There was concerns to do with safety and fire, the radiation from the signals. It just goes on and on and on. But because of all of these things and the way that it was basically rammed down the throats of the people, we said, we don't want to be part of this. And my wife had her concerns, I had mine, but between the two of us, we just said, the analog meters worked really well for a long time. We'd like to keep it. We were also concerned that some people were getting really, really high bills when the smart meters first came out. And I'm also concerned that down the road, you're going to see time of use billing from BC Hydro, so that basically if it's dinner time, you don't want to put your stove on because they're going to be charging you at much higher rates during peak demand time. So anyways, we'd still like to keep our analog meter for all of the various reasons that we've told Hydro about, but they seem adamant that one way or the other, they're basically going to force us to capitulate.
What kind of ways has Hydro tried to force you to take a smart meter?
Well, the first thing was they came up with this nice little legacy charge that if you wanted to keep your meter, you had to pay $32.40 per month. Meanwhile, back in Quebec, if you want to keep your meter, it's only $5 a month, so a little bit of a difference. We've actually been paying that charge now for 3 years, and if you do the quick math, it adds up to about $1,030 over 3 years and counting. The latest thing that they're up to now is they have this thing called a failed installation fee. It's $65. So they sent us a letter back in, I think it was February, saying they wanted to come in and switch the smart meter over to a radio meter where the radio signals were actually turned off. And we sent them a registered note saying, no thank you. As we previously stated, we'd like to keep our analog meter, and away we go. Well, even though they knew this, I think it was in July, they sent out one of their Corex representatives. There was a bit of a confrontation at the front of the yard with my wife basically telling this guy to get off the property or the cops were going to be called. He left without even seeing the meter, touching it, doing anything, and we received this $65 charge, as we'd been warned about. So we paid our hydro bill as usual. We never pay the thing late. We always are on time with all that. And then we started getting these disconnection notices. So what was it? I actually got them in front of me here. first one was September 14th, and it was for $68.25, which is their little charge plus taxes. And, they called it a quote-unquote friendly reminder. So that was the first one. A couple weeks later, we got one that was September 28th, and all of a sudden it's BC Hydro account is overdue. Now, this is only 2 weeks later. So they go all about, how you're supposed to pay, and if you've paid the amount in full, thank you, disregard this notice. Then, another 2 weeks later, October 12th. So this has taken just a month. We get a final disconnection notice for the total amount owing of $68.25, which is this failed installation charge. And in there, they basically say that, we're going to turn off your power if you don't pay this thing. So, here's a company that I've been paying my bills religiously for all these years, and for a $65 charge that I requested that they do not use, they come out to our place to put this meter in, they came out anyways and then stuck us with this bogus bill. What they don't tell you in this letter is that if the power goes out, they will come back out and turn it on. There's a $30 charge plus you get a smart meter whether you want it or not. Otherwise, they won't turn the power back on. And the other issue with this is part of this notice. It says, if you've been disconnected, it's your responsibility to take whatever steps you can to reduce the likelihood of damage as a result of a disconnection. Before calling to request a reconnection, to prevent the possibility of a fire, please turn off or disconnect all electrical equipment. Well, we don't want the smart meter, and part of it is because of the fire threat. And here they are saying that, if we reconnect you, there's a possibility that we might just burn down your house, but if we do, it's on your dime, not ours. Nice.
Do you feel that Hydro's trying to blackmail you?
Ooh.
Or that they really are blackmailing you, considering they're asking for money for something they never did?
Well, I don't know if I'd quite put it in the blackmail department, but I would definitely put it in the bully department. Matter of fact, for me, I look at BC Hydro, the BC stands for bullying customers. Because from day one, they have been sending these different letters, different tactics, and they've basically been trying to bully us into, accepting what they want to do and not what we want to do on our property, on our own home. You look at sewer and water coming into this house, right at the property line is where the shutoff valves are. If anything goes wrong from the property into the house, it becomes my bill. If I have a water line blow, I have to dig it up and replace it on my dime. As far as BC Hydro goes, they believe that they own the wires right to the house that go through my house, that go to the meter, and then from that point in time, suddenly, magically, it becomes my property. Well, I'm sorry, I have about 1.4 million reasons why that's not right. I own this place. It's worth a lot of money. I paid a lot for it. I work hard to keep it up. And it's my house. I don't care if they think they own the meter. This is my property, and it's my house. If they want to, do it that way, well, they can put the meter out on the street, on the hydro pole, and then run a line in, and I'll look after the line myself. But I don't see why BC Hydro gets to own stuff that's hanging on the side of my house when all the other services terminate at the property line.
We'll have more with Don Pitcairn right after the break.
Gem International is a new diamond explorer in the richest diamond producing country in Africa, located next to the fourth largest producing diamond mine in the world. International Spotlight is on an 1109 carat diamond recently discovered in Africa by a fellow Canadian junior with a proven operator and finance team. Gem International trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GI. Visit us at gemdiamondmining.com.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Don Pitcairn. Don, with this bullying from Hydro to take a smart meter, what are you doing to fight back?
Well, my wife and I are actually, talking and looking at all of this different things that we can do, and we're actually considering commencing legal action against them. taking them on with unauthorized billing, harassment, causing undue stress, loss of enjoyment, reckless endangerment for the fire hazard issue, and plus legal fees. But unfortunately, they're a Crown corporation, so this isn't like taking a business that you've had bad dealings with to court. They have a bit of different protection because you're basically taking on the government. So what you have to do, because they're a Crown corporation, you have to file a written notice of claim of our intent with them, and then wait 2 months before proceeding with court action against Hydro. So, because of that, we actually had to pay this $65 failed installation fee for something that we didn't, not only did we not want, we informed them that we didn't want this, and they came out and billed us for it anyways. So that was sort of the last straw. We're just looking at our timetable and holiday plans for the winter, and we're figuring out when we want to to look at going ahead and doing this, because we've basically gotten to the point that we've had enough. And I don't mind a good fight, but I like it if it's fair. In this situation, they may have bitten off a little more than they can chew, because I've got some ideas I'd really like to bring out there and let the public know that BC Hydro, they're the government. They have anti-bullying websites out there for school children, but you know what? There's nothing to stop Hydro from bullying us. Well, you know what? The best way to take on a bully is give them a shot square in the nose. I learned that a long time ago when I was in school.
Any thoughts about getting off the grid if you could?
It's funny, my next door neighbors are in the exact same situation we are. They have their meter just basically barricaded on the side of their house. They have a stack of paperwork just like we do, and she would love to get off the grid. For myself, with the lifestyle that we lead and in this neighborhood, it's basically impossible. One of my wife's friends, who is very, very sensitive to all sorts of various things, recently moved to Saskatchewan at the start of the summer just to get away from electromagnetic, radio waves and cellular phones and radiation, all of this stuff. And she actually lives off the grid on a farm in Saskatchewan now, because she was finding that in the city it was just affecting her weight. She was getting all sorts of issues, health issues, because of these problems. As soon as she goes to Saskatchewan, everything clears up. She moves back to the city, and within a month or two she wants to leave again because she's running into all these problems.
What kind of advice would you have for someone concerned about a smart meter?
Well, there's a lot of information that's out there. Basically go out there and do your homework. The two websites that I know my wife used quite a bit for all of the various paperwork that we did was bc-freedom.com and takebackyourpower.net. So those are probably your best places to get information. There's also Facebook pages regarding, fighting BC Hydro, keeping your meter, etc., etc. At the end of the day, though, you can expect trouble from BC Hydro. You can expect threatening letters. You can expect them to trespass on your property. It's just a matter of how far they want to push you and how far you want to go. I'm at the point now that if a Corex representative trespasses on my property and it's marked for no trespassing, I'm going to be making a citizen's arrest, and this includes handcuffs and waiting for the RCMP to come and get them and charge them with trespassing. And I've recently let them know that if they choose to go down that route, their employee will find themselves arrested, and I'm going to be phoning the RCMP to take them away. The property says no trespassing for them in particular, and I mean it, because I've been pushed to the point now. It's time to push back.
Are you surprised that the BC opposition is pro-smart meter?
Well, I think when you look at the opposition, they look at, the Crown Corporation. If they get in power, they take it over, and, well, with the amount of money that the government siphons off BC Hydro, I don't think none of them want to, ruffle the goose that lays the golden egg. I mean, how many hundreds of millions of dollars a year does the BC government take off BC Hydro as a dividend? And then if they end up pushing this time of use billing, it'll probably be even more. I thought it was quite entertaining to notice just last week that the LNG at Woodfibre, they're going to get a great commercial rate for their hydro. So while they basically get corporate welfare, everyone else is paying top dollar.
Don, anything else you wanted to add before we end our interview?
Well, my wife and I, besides our regular business, we have a little fun apparel company called SurreyShirts.com. And I'm thinking that I might just want to print up about 100 bright pink T-shirts with a stop sign on it that says, BC Hydro, stop bullying, and go downtown to their headquarters, their main offices, and hand those out to anyone that wants them. Actually, I'd love to give one to their CEO to see if it fits her. So at some point in time, don't be too surprised to see that possibly happening, because there's, at the end of the day, there's not really too much I can do against the all-powerful, all-encompassing BC Hydro. We're just going to keep on fighting, but they make up the rules, and they can also make up their own bills too. That there's nothing to stop them from sending someone else out to do another failed installation charge. They could send someone out here every day if they wanted. So that's why for us, we're basically been backed into a corner now, and we'll just have to see where it all goes.
And if you're not careful, they'll build a hydroelectric dam and bury your house in water.
Well, that's a whole different topic of conversation, isn't it, for Site C and the people up in the Peace? Whether it's necessary, whether that's the right avenue to go, whether, when you look at the amount of billions of dollars that are going to be spent on it, whether it's a good investment for the people of BC, and that's something else that really needs to be looked at. Mind you, it's basically, when it comes to BC Hydro, it's almost too late, isn't it? They're already working away and spending millions to get everything prepped up there. So,
Don, thank you so much for chatting with us.
You're very welcome. Anytime.
My guest has been Don Pitcairn. He's a columnist for the White Rock Sun and a concerned citizen about smart meters. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show can be emailed to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.